What's up guys, it is Little with the Great, back with another video, back in with another commentary video. I'm sorry for the noise that's outside of my room right now. That's the generator that's outside making the noise because the power went out in my neighborhood. Now back on topic, this has got to be one of the worst debates I've seen on social media because now they're debating whether or not Anne Frank had white privilege during the Holocaust. Now, if you don't know who Anne Frank is, I'm pretty sure you must have heard her name or at least have heard of the Holocaust at your school, because Anne Frank is a victim of the Holocaust. And Anne Frank made a diary describing what was happening, what she experienced during the time it was at the Holocaust. And the Holocaust is one of the worst tragedies in history. And I just want to say, if you have a family member who was a victim of the Holocaust, I am very sorry for what you're about to witness, as these people make the worst takes that they have said to a historic tragedy and blatantly disrespecting a victim of the Holocaust. I'm just giving you all a fair warning, and let's continue. The hellscape of Twitter is at it again, this time arguing over whether Anne Frank, a girl killed in the Holocaust for being Jewish, actually had quote-unquote white privilege. Twitter is yet again proving it's the worst for bulk bad takes, this time debating whether Anne Frank was hunted and killed by Nazis had white privilege while being alive. You might have noticed the Holocaust victim was trending Saturday, but finding out why is disheartening. Some, it seems, have floated an argument that Frank benefited from white privilege in Nazi Germany, an argument that is rightly being shot down left and right. The entire thing with Anne Frank saying that she had white privilege during Nazi Germany during the Holocaust is blatantly just disrespectful to the people who are victims of the Holocaust, and disrespecting the fact that they don't know the history of not only Anne Frank but the Holocaust as well. And it doesn't make any sense either, because Anne Frank had no rights. Anne Frank was disrespected in every way, shape, or form. During the Holocaust, every single Jew in Nazi Germany were disrespected and were slaves to Hitler. And I say this because I read about Anne Frank during the history lesson that I had in school. I heard about the Holocaust. Apparently these people must have know a lot about the Holocaust, but they actually don't. It's just disgusting. Hold on, I want to make sure I say this carefully. Yeah, Anne Frank had white privilege, but bad things happen to people with white privilege. But also, don't tell the whites that. What are you talking about? Alright, because the entire thing that you said, that you quote-unquote say carefully, didn't make any sense whatsoever. And this user said, "Babe, wake up, they're calling Anne Frank a colonizer on Twitter again." Unclear how toxic this discord first started, but it seems to stem from a warped notion that Jews had the benefit of their skin color to go unnoticed in public, if only temporarily, during that bleak time in history, while POC historically haven't been able to do so. The theory is so twisted, and yet it's being defended by a select few on the Bird app, despite a vast majority of folks swooping in to bat down the rhetoric by noting that Jews were in fact seen and treated as an inferior race in an ethnic sense, and that Anne Frank was murdered specifically because she was Jewish, plus she was in hiding. Yes, all white people are safe. Y'all really need to learn how to do better at this. No one is saying the Nazis didn't target white people, just that white people can hide their whiteness, whereas in Nazi USA, black people can't. Go tell black people the whites got it hard. Time for our biannual garbage Holocaust take featuring Anne Frank and Jews as quote-unquote white people. As someone wisely put it, quote, "Anne Frank didn't have white privilege. You wanna know why? Jewish people aren't included when white nationalists define the perfect Aryan race. If you think she did, tell that to all the other innocent Jewish people forced into concentration camps for not being white enough." I'm like 99% certain that these people haven't read about Anne Frank. In other words, Jews were not considered one at the same as Nazis at the time by said Nazis, even pigmentation wise, evidenced in literal extermination by the millions. This harkens back to another weird debate from a few years ago when folks were going after Helen Keller, who was both blind and deaf, for only have achieved such notoriety and success in her day due to her own quote-unquote white privilege. This was bad. This was much worse. This also seems to be in the same vein as what Whoopi Goldberg put on The View this year when she likened the Holocaust to one group of white people against another, and now wanted to conflate that with racial oppression against by African Americans. And yes, this did actually happen. Now, after this happened to Whoopi Goldberg on The View, she lost her position on the show. I'm not sure if she still got her position back because I'm not too much paying attention to the show. And she did apologize on Twitter, but a handful of people disapproved her apology and said that there's no excuse for not knowing about the Holocaust and how many people were tortured during that historic event. She was suspended and ultimately apologized, as some have noted convos like these devolve into a contest of suffering, with this new trend just being the latest iteration. No, Anne Frank was not an oppressor. Toss that thinking into garbage immediately. To conclude this entire debate was not needed, and it should have not existed on Twitter or in any platform specifically. And it still doesn't make any sense that Anne Frank was white privileged when she wasn't. Alright, she was tortured. Countless Jews were tortured, and it's sad that a lot of people don't know the history of the Holocaust. That's gonna be it for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you think about the video. Once again, I'm very sorry for the noise on my generator. My neighborhood lost power, and the generator's on for me to have power in my house. That's gonna be it, and I'll see you all later. See ya.